like a Haitian person, or the Chronicles of Zoe, which I would assume would be her name, but I believe it's the Chronicles of Zoe, as in the Haitian like nickname that they give themselves, as in like being Zoes. Okay, I really don't know the meaning of the term so if you're Haitian and you do know, just drag me about it in the comments, please. But it's like I hear a lot of Haitian people refer to themselves as a so that's the name of our YouTube, the Chronicles of So. Let's get into the video. So to define basically what a mermaid is, even though I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but just for the specific in the realm of this video, we are talking about something that is half fish and half human, and they have a fish bottom, like they have a huge tail fin, and their upper, like from the waist up, is regular human torso, arms, and head. That's our mermaid. They have these beautiful long fish tails. Something that I found interesting about the Haitian mermaids is that sometimes they can appear as beautiful beings, or sometimes they can appear as really ugly and scary creatures. It just kind of depends. And I don't know if it's because mermaids are considered like shapeshifters and they can change how they appear to someone, or if there are just, beautiful mermaids out there and ugly mermaids out there. We don't know. I would like to believe that they are like shape-shifting and can change the way that they appear, because that's just cooler and more interesting. But who really knows, right? So the origin of mermaids, and this is the origin of mermaids that I found to be most interesting. There are a lot of different, I found a lot of different places saying a lot of different things about how they believed mermaids originated, but this one made the most sense to me, and I just found it super interesting. So basically, it's the idea that at some point humans all dispersed, which is kind of like very similar to the idea of the origin of race. Like, people were all in one place at one point, and then they all just dispersed, and that's how we ended up all over the world. Okay, so it would be like some of them stayed on land, which would be what I would consider like traditional Black and African people. Some of them went into the forest, which is what I would idealize as like natives and aboriginals, and some went into the mountains, which we all know is where the term Caucasian comes from like the Caucasus Mountains. So, that's how we got the white people. And then some of them went into the water, which is how we got mermaids. Now tell me that doesn't make sense, because it definitely does. Like, it's logical. I feel like it's logical. It makes sense to me. So, something that I found very interesting with particularly Haitian mermaids is that they are usually shown in y'all, I'm so sorry. I'm like trying to read these notes that I wrote about this subject like a month ago, and some of my abbreviations are just positive light, but based on a lot of accounts from a lot of different Haitian people, mermaids can also be very, very cynical and wicked, and they seem as if they love trickery and games. So it's all up to perception. But there are also stories where mermaids are very positive beings. The thing, okay, I'll go on to tell the story and then I'll make that comment. So the positives would be like mermaids saving their lives. There are stories of people getting, sucked into the water by mermaids, and then mermaids would not sucked into the water by mermaids, sucked into the water overcame by a wave or something, and mermaids would swim them back to shore. But there are also negative stories of people getting conned by mermaids. What I come to get out of these, are they positive creatures? Are they negative creatures? It seems like mermaids are their own beings, just like humans. So just like one person can be a good person and the next person can be a conniving bad person, mermaids seem to have that same type of freedom. I was gonna say audacity, but like they have that same type of freedom to decide whether they want to be a good person or mer person, or whether they want to be a bad mer person. They have freedom of choice, is what I get from most of the things I have watched and read about mermaids. So there are some stories about mermaids that are found in Haitian folklore. One of them is, if you see a mermaid combing her hair and she drops the comb, if you pick it up, you will be very wealthy. And if you comb your hair with it, your hair will grow to be extremely long. The thing about it though is that mermaids very rarely drop their combs. So with these folklore stories, a lot of it is a person devising a plan on how to scare a mermaid or frighten a mermaid, catch them off guard for them to drop their comb, and then you could quickly pick it up. So you're kind of like stealing. They're not really dropping it and you somehow find it. You're like stealing it. But there's another tale that if you do like devise a plan and make the mermaid drop their comb, like if you don't find the comb just on its own, if you're stealing the comb from the mermaid, if you comb your hair with that comb, you will be cursed and all of your hair will fall out. So yeah. Okay, so some negative connotations with mermaids. So in some cases, mermaids can be really mean to humans because, okay, this makes sense also. Like, this is a theory that made so much sense to me too. But recently, mermaids can be very mean to humans because we are destroying Earth and we're killing aquatic life. We are completely destroying and polluting their homes so they don't rock with us, which would make sense. Like, if someone was dumping billions of pounds of trash in your home, would you really rock with them? I don't think so. So I think that is as a regular woman that's out in the water or sitting out on rocks, but it actually might be a mermaid who is in fact hiding her tail. And the reason why Haitian people tend to always warn their children about mermaids is because mermaids are absolutely notorious for kidnapping people in Haiti. Like, as I promise you guys, ask a Haitian person and they know someone, or they know someone who knows someone who has been abducted by mermaids. A Haitian person that has spent time in Haiti, you know, like not a Haitian person that's just from the Bronx, because I don't know if they would have the same experience given that they haven't lived in Haiti around the Haitian waters. So, but at the same time, they probably do because they have parents or grandparents that migrated to America at some point. So, Haitian people know this and they warn their children about this because mermaids are known to kidnap people, and very often it's young children. Sometimes they will keep the person that they kidnapped forever, or until whenever they decide to give the person back. Like, the mermaid has complete autonomy about how long the person stays, and there seems to be really nothing that regular people can do to combat the situation. And also, like, you could go to authorities and say that your child is missing, but to go to authorities and say my child is missing, they were kidnapped by a mermaid, like, even if they do believe you, how would they help you, you know? So when someone gets kidnapped by a mermaid, either they are going to live forever with that mermaid, or the mermaid will decide to give them back on their own time. So there's a lot of different stories about people getting kidnapped by mermaids. Sometimes these people are turned into slaves or sex slaves. Sometimes the mermaids only kidnap them to show them a lesson, like, you know, not to go too deep out into the water. It's just, there are tons and tons of stories from many different Haitian people accounting mermaids kidnapping people, and that is one of the major reasons why I absolutely believe that these Haitian mermaids are real, because, like, what all of these people with all of these different stories about being kidnapped by mermaids, like, all of these people can be lying, you know? All of these people know someone or was someone that got kidnapped by a mermaid. Like, all of these people cannot be lying. Oh my gosh. So, another rule, that if you do see mermaids, be extremely careful. Not only because they might kidnap you, but also because they are conniving. They can be conniving little creatures. And if a mermaid asks you to do something for them, do the opposite. Do the opposite. Like, a mermaid will try to make a deal with you and say, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. But once you do that thing for them, they'll never hold up their end for you. So it's best to just do the complete opposite of whatever but some of them can be tricky and conniving. It seems like they get a thrill out of just playing games with the humans. So don't make a deal with a mermaid, because you will hold up your end of the deal and they will never hold up theirs, and you'll be out here looking crazy. And if a mermaid asks you to do something, just do the complete opposite, because it may be a spell or something that they're trying to put you under. So yeah. Another thing is, mermaid is like the general term, and often they present as women, but there are also mermen out there, and mermen are known to kidnap women and make them their wives. Mermaids are also known to kidnap, men and make them their husbands, or kidnap kids and make them their children, as opposed to just, slaves and sex slaves. Even though technically you're still a slave, but they were also known to capture people and take them on as husbands and wives, or even as children. And I have written on my notes Blind Mermaid Haitian story, but I am not completely sure that I remember the story. I think it was something like a fisherman. It was like a fisherman and his wife, and the wife was standing on shore, and the mermaid tried to make a deal with her, like, don't you want to be out here with your husband? But it was like at the cost of her eyes. But just think about the Little Mermaid. Like, okay, not the Little Mermaid, the Disney version, but if you guys, I'm about to put y'all on real quick. If you guys have never read the Grimm's bedtime stories, they're basically, and this is a book that was released in like the 1800s or 1900s. It's very, very old. It predates all of these Disney stories, because the Disney stories were based on the Grimm's bedtime stories. But these stories are like, these are not bedtime stories. These stories are crazy. They are, it's like the truth behind Cinderella, like the truth behind the Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid tried to make a deal with Ariel, tried to make a deal with a mermaid, another mermaid, that if she, wait, I'm trying to think about how the story go, because the way I'm about to say it is not about to make sense. Basically, Ariel gets her feet cut off. I think Ariel was a human who wanted to be a mermaid, and somehow she gets her feet cut off and gets fishtails sewn to the bottom of her legs, and she is just this horrendous creature, and that is not at all what she wanted. She wanted to be a beautiful mermaid, but obviously, like in Disney, she like sells her voice for her prince and kids' legs, but something like that. I don't remember the story completely, because like the last time I read that book, I was probably like 11 or 12, but it was very gruesome, and it involved her getting her legs cut off. But she made a deal with the mermaid, and the deal did not play out how it was supposed to, or I guess how she was expecting, because the mermaid was tricky and found a loophole to still fulfill what she was asking for, but just in an extremely terrible fashion. You guys, please, if you have never read the Grimm bedtime stories, read them. They're very interesting. Like, it's like the truth behind Disney, I would, suggest that you guys read them. I'm actually gonna reread them now that I've talked about this, because I need to relive those stories. something